Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Coaching from the Couch. This is your Washington Commanders update, and I am your host, Candi CWall Waller, checking in to give you exclusive insights from Arizona going into NFL Week 4. If you caught my previous episode, you know that I am in a very hot Phoenix, Arizona, covering the Washington Commanders in advance of their NFL Week 4 showdown, if you will, with the Arizona Cardinals. So, if you are tuned in for the first time on television, with Bowie TV, Verizon Channel 11, Comcast Xfinity Channel 77, or on the YouTube channel at Bowie_TV. Hello and welcome. If you are returning, welcome back. For everybody, make sure you are subscribed. Hit that like button. Hit the bell so that you're getting all the notifications. There's a ton of great content on Bowie TV. So I hope you are enjoying all of it. So this show, we get into the Washington Commanders, but we also, after the game, we do a live recap of the game. So you want to make sure you are locked in so you know when I'm going live, and we're showing that as well. So you want to chime in with your comments and all of that. So I just want to make sure I give that update and just give that reminder for some and new information for others that we do also do a live game recap a day or so after the game. So that's why it's so important to make sure you have your notifications on so you can know when we're going live. Anyway, you all, here we go. The Commanders are coming off of a division win. Let's all track it back, right? A tough game in Tampa Bay week 1, a 7 field goal winning game at home against a division rival New York Giants in week 2, a surprising Monday Night Football victory over the Cincinnati Bengals on the road. Now the Commanders are still on the road facing the Arizona Cardinals. This is a team that, if you're not careful, you will lose to them. Right now, they're 2-1, just like the Washington Commanders, and just like every other week, every team wants to win. They have a very mobile and skilled quarterback in Kyler Murray. They have other key assets on their team as well as just a spectacular rookie wide receiver in Marvin Harrison Jr. So there's a lot of other tidbits here that we just need to make sure that we're tracking so that if we see things during the game, we can say, they talked about that last week, or we saw a recurring issue from a previous week. We want to make sure we're noting all of those things. Honestly, from week 2 to week 3, we saw much improvement, especially on the offensive side of the ball. So let's see how this continues to progress. Let's see if the Cardinals already have an answer for some of those key aspects and things that we're already seeing that we really like from the Washington Commanders offense. On the defensive side, I think they're all still waiting to see that it factor from the entire defense. If you all recall, I've already asked the question to defensive coordinator Joe Whitt Jr. about the plays of the players that are giving those examples of what he wants to see and the type of brand of football that they want to play on the defense. He only named 5 players, but there's 11 that they have to get going to really play the brand of football that they want to see. So this week is yet again another opportunity. Here's kind of the layout of what I'm going to go through on this episode. We're going to do kind of move around a little bit. We're going to pick up something from DQ's presser on the game captains for the week, go through some of Joe Whitt's press conference, go through some of offensive coordinator Kliff Kingsbury's press conference, show a scrum from Jeremy McNichols, who is one of this week's game captains, as well as a snippet from a scrum with veteran tight end Zach Ertz. Still a lot to cover. And then my colleague Darrell Owens gives his keys to a victory over the Cardinals. Definitely don't want to forget that I have a clip from Luke McCaffrey's media scrum as well. So you want to go ahead and get comfortable, because as you can hear, there's a lot that needs to be covered in this episode in advance of the game. So I hope you all are watching it. I hope I like to use your clues. Make sure you have your notebook and your pen and your paper, because we're going to be noting some very important points throughout. With that being said, let's go ahead and get started.
Get into this game against good Arizona team, so love to focus where the guys are at. And some game captains, Nick Allegretti will be one, Quan Martin and Jeremy McNichols. So those will be the captains for this week's game, and we're really pumped to get rolling. So
if you recall, Dan Quinn has shared there's not team captains. They're going by game captains. And typically what happens is based on the performance and just overall what they're seeing and their leadership skills and style that they're sharing throughout the team and with the locker room. So we've all been talking about the great, amazing, awesome job that the offensive line did on Monday night. Sometimes being on offensive line is a thankless job, but Nick Allegretti gets the nod as a game captain after his stellar performance and how he continues to show up and continues to improve and progress for this team. Quan Martin is a name that has consistently been mentioned by the coaching staff as one of the players that is playing the brand of football that they want to see. Quan Martin has continued to excel. He's continued to be on point. He's continued to be detail-oriented, and he has continued to bring that muscle that is certainly needed in the secondary at the safety position. Jeremy McNichols, that last play to Terry McLaurin, how many times? Go ahead, love button, thumbs up, drop a fire emoji in the chat for that huge tackle that Jeremy McNichols made on that last play to make sure that play happens. Can't wait till you all hear some of the things that he shared in his media scrum. So make sure you stay locked in for that. All in all, these three have continued to show up and make huge impacts so that plays can be made for this team and continue to showcase that they are examples of playing the brand of football that this team wants to be known for. With that being said, let's jump to Joe Whitt's press conference, where he gets into a bit about where he sees the defense currently and playing the brand of football that they want to see.
Transition to the first game like we always do. We always wanted to get the win, which we did on the road, which was good. We're still not playing the brand of ball that we want, and that's my responsibility, and we'll get there. We're closer than people think, and the communication that's picked up, the physicality's there. Now the playmaking needs to be there. This last game, they hit the one over the top early. We got into some cover two. We played a lot of shell after that. We really didn't stop the run out of the shell, and so sometimes we tried to get back into a heavier box, and they hit us over the top a couple more times. And so, but I just got to do a better job of, if we're going to be shell, make sure we can stop the run, and if we're going to be stop the run with the heavier box, that we make sure that we win our one-on-ones outside. That's my responsibility. So, going into this game, a dynamic young quarterback. He's not young anymore. He's been here for a while. But, with my son being in Texas, and he's just a Texas legend, the guy has tremendous arm talent. He can throw it from any plane. He's faster than you think. He doesn't necessarily scramble to actually run the ball. He scrambles to throw, but it's hard to catch him. A dynamic back there, Connor. I mean, he just runs hard. Have a lot of respect for him for a long time. Young talented receivers. The offensive line, they've had some guys in and out. But I coached John Gannon in college, so I know he'll have an answer and a plan for that. And so, but just a lot of respect for this team, a lot of respect for who they are, because, like I said, the relationship I have with Gannon, and I know how he's going to have his team ready.
So some of the players that defensive coordinator Joe Whitt mentioned later on in this episode, you will hear some of the questions that I asked Commanders head coach Dan Quinn, and he mentioned some of these same players. So take note. It's a very important point. Definitely want to highlight what Joe Whitt Jr. said about Kyler Murray. He's a lot faster than you think. And in the previous episode, we had a media scrum with Bobby Wagner, and that was one of the things that Bobby Wagner was sharing as well about Kyler Murray. So when we talk about needing to see the brand of football and really the impact from this defensive line, they got to be in full effect to really get that pressure on Kyler for this Sunday's matchup. Now, also, Joe Whitt Jr. mentioned with Mikey Sainristil. You all know in the previous episode, I asked Coach Quinn about Mikey. We showcased a media scrum with Mikey as well. You know, they got beat over the top a couple times. We know one of those was with Mike Sainristil. The other one is with Benjamin St. Juste. But to kind of pull on the thread, you know, for this week, to want to know what the coaches are seeing out of Mike Sainristil, I asked Coach Joe Whitt about him. Take a listen.
Hey there, Coach. I asked Coach Quinn both of these questions, but would like your take as well.
Okay.
What have you seen so far from training camp to now in Mike Sainristil?
Mike, you know, in training camp, we had Mike inside a lot, and especially in the New York game, he was really sticky in the coverage and did a nice job. He has a lot of, you know, really good call command. We moved him outside because of the need, and you know, he got beat over the top on that one play and it was more of an understanding than just necessarily getting beat on it. But he's a young player that is coming and still developing. And once we get everybody together, he might move back inside. That might be his home. But for right now, you know, we need him where we have him.
So that is some tidbits there for you all. Use your clues. I hope you were writing that down because that was a very important point. Coach Joe Whitt has already shared exactly where they have Mikey positioned right now. I know that was some of the questions that fans had and the media we had as well about where is he going to go? And we've seen where he's been here recently. So make that note. Very important point. Next up, I really think you all want to pay attention to this because I asked about the safety group. My colleague from Locked On Commanders, David Harrison, then followed up after my question about the safety group. And you'll hear another name again who is a game captain, again, consistently on Quan Martin. But with David's question, he asked specifically about Derek Forrest. And I know that this is a topic of interest for many fans. So please pay attention for sure. You got your notepad, you have your pen. You definitely want to write down what you hear in these next two clips.
And what are you seeing specifically out of the safety group?
The safety group, starting with Quan, I think Quan's played really good football. He's tackled really well. He's communicating at the level that we want. Chin, he's coming in. He's giving us a force of being able to communicate down low. He's a big body guy. I want to blitz him actually a little bit more, so hopefully we can. And then, you know, Percy, he's tackled well as well. So I've been pleased with the safety group, their range and the way that they've been playing.
And then check out this next clip on Coach Whitt's response to the question about Defoe.
And then following up on the safety question for Derek Forrest, is there something you need to see more out of him behind the scenes, or is it more just your confidence in the guys you have ahead of him right now?
You know, Forrest has done everything that we've asked him to do. He missed some time early, and I'm not down. I'm actually really high on Forrest, and he's somebody that when we can get more safety packages, that first off we have to get up and then get him on the field. But he's done everything. He's a great teammate. He's a great human being. And now we just, you know, got to find a way to get him on the field in certain spaces.
So make that note and see what ends up happening. This kind of aligns with when I asked Coach Quinn the same question about the safety group, and he talked about the matchups in the packages. He didn't get into naming specifically, right? Because he wasn't asked specifically about Derek Forrest. But it's still a similar message about the packages and what they think the best crew will be for that day in that matchup. So something to continue to watch, you all. But the question was asked by Locked On Commanders host David Harrison. I know many fans have been asking and inquiring about that. So there's an answer. Let's see and continue to watch how that progresses as time goes on. Clelin Ferrell, defensive end, will be out again due to a knee injury. JP Finlay asked Coach Whitt about that.
And then another week without Ferrell, how do you think that group behind him kind of backfilled that role?
You know, he's such a solid force up because he sets edges. He's such a leader. But I thought those guys did a solid job coming in and filling in for him and understanding their role.
So seems to be pleased with his deep crew at defensive end. We'll see how it goes. This is certainly a position group that is one to continuously watch, is the defensive line. Again, when it comes to naming names and calling out plays of when this team has seen this is the brand of football that we want to play, not yet too much mention of a moment, a play, or a player from that defensive line. Use your clues and take a note on that. Now, let's move on to the presser with offensive coordinator Kliff Kingsbury, who was very familiar with the Arizona Cardinals. Of course, as you all know, let's get into the presser with him.
Hey there, Coach Mobley. So far, what have you seen out of Brian Robinson Jr.?
He's everything I thought he would be and more. I think just a tough runner. You know, we weren't able to get him going that much last week, but the tough yards he got when we needed him. And he's a guy who can do it in the pass game, do it in the run game, and then his just competitive spirit day in, day out is awesome. I mean, he is a leader on the field. The way he practices, the way he runs the football, he really inspires all of us, and couldn't be more pleased with what I've seen so far.
So back during the summer, I asked Coach Kingsbury about the running back room. And he specifically said that Brian Robinson Jr. is a number one back in this league. He truly believes it. So that goes back to the point of him saying he's everything I thought he was and more. Yes, we know he wasn't as involved specifically on Monday night, but what he did was huge. Okay, what he did was huge. So he continues to make an impact on the offense. We know that the team will be without Austin Ekeler. Continued best wishes and prayers to him as he recovers from a concussion. But I do think Austin Ekeler will certainly be missed. He made some big plays down the stretch. And of course, what he was making as an impact from a starting field position on special teams, that Austin Ekeler will be missed. He will be missed. So hopefully he will be well very soon, but we know he has to take the time to recover as well. I followed up with the question with Kliff Kingsbury because everyone knows in week 2, and this goes back to improvements, in week 2, with all of the penalties in the red zone, not being able to convert one touchdown, right? That's a continued story. There was a difference from week 2 to week 3. And you all may have seen my post or seen on a previous episode where I've mentioned everything that Kliff Kingsbury shared with the media, therefore shared it publicly during his press conference that were improvement areas. He absolutely made it a point to get better and to improve. I asked Coach Kingsbury about that. Check out his response.
And going from week 2 to week 3, I know you shared with us last week some of the, improvement areas that you wanted to focus on. So after a game like Monday night, how do you feel about how that went for yourself?
Yeah, the biggest deal was the negative plays. We had 18 in week 2, and we had 4 the other night, and it allowed us to not be in many third and longs and stay on schedule and play downhill and mix in some of the tempo, and I think that was the kind of secret sauce to being able to score in the red zone as well. No negative plays in the red zone, which the previous week was our Achilles heel. So I thought the negative plays was the biggest improvement.
No negative plays in the red zone after we all know what happened against the Giants. Now, they won against the Giants, but no negative plays. And then down the stretch to say the previous week you had 18, you took that down to 4. Very important point. This is what I'm talking about when I continue to say things that I saw during the summer. I don't want to see them in September. And please, let's not see them in October, okay, and beyond. But when you can see improvement from week to week, when you can see that big of a huge progress within that week of time, that's a good deal. That is a very good deal. And that means that everybody is taking a piece of the accountability pie and doing what they need to do to get better. Now, everybody loved how the last play to Terry McLaurin turned out. But I'm sure you all have heard by now that play was a little chaotic. So check out Kliff Kingsbury's response to that last play.
Can you take us through your perspective on that last play to Terry when he came over the sideline?
Yeah, really think players, not plays. Like, that's all that was. We basically invented a play because Terry said, I got him. And then you could see the confusion. I screwed up the play call because I was trying to kind of flip things and make it, and they just made it work. And so it's like, in that situation, I learned a long time ago, you think players, not plays, and those two guys made a hell of a play.
So I want to jump really quick to the media scrum with running back Jeremy McNichols, who everyone will see a lot more of this week with Austin Ekeler being out, and who was a huge contributor to making sure that last play to Terry went the way that it did. So check out this clip with Jeremy McNichols is a little over 2 minutes long, so continue to relax and be comfortable because we still got a bit more to go on this episode.
It was a clutch play. To me, it's so bad for the squad, for the team. I just wanted to go more, so I saw that was good.
When you go back and watch it, how good does that feel? How good did it feel when you went back and watched it?
I mean, it was a nice block. You know, he didn't touch the quarterback. That's the main thing, playing running back. Like, don't let him touch the quarterback or get close to the quarterback. So it was a good block, but, you know, we got to continue just to get better, learn from it, and continue on.
Kliff and Terry talked about how there was some confusion right before the snap. How chaotic did it feel right there coming up? It seems like there was some confusion going on.
I mean, we practice those moments. I mean, those moments happen in practice and OTAs and camp, you know. It's football, so nothing's going to be perfect at all times. But as long as we all on the same page and know what we're doing, then we're going to execute the play.
Knowing you could get probably a bigger load this week with Austin out, just how do you approach this game, and you know, what are your expectations going in?
Same way as always. If I'm not playing, I always prepare like I will be playing. If I'm not, or whatever it may be, just being a professional from top down, knowing my job, knowing my responsibilities. So I got the reps, know what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm confident in what I'm supposed to be doing. Just playing over the years and just going out there and helping the team and getting this win this weekend.
How's it working with Jake?
It's been cool, man. I mean, just seeing his progress and just seeing his work ethic and seeing how he takes control of this offense and takes control of this team and just seeing his maturity, as a rookie. So, I mean, sky's the limit for him and just want him to continue to progress because, we'll go as far as that.
I mean, you've been around the league a bit. I mean, is the way he approaches different than, I guess, a typical rookie quarterback? Or?
I mean, it's always player to player, but I think he's came in and prepared over the years, even from college and high school. He just prepared, and he just has that killer instinct mindset. You can see it in his demeanor and when he's on the field, and you can just tell the guys what to play for him. So he came in ready to go, and, I think the team rallies behind him.
I think it is so important to note what Jeremy shared in this clip. And that is they practice those situations all the time. If you've watched my previous episodes, you all hear me say they do this in practice, or that's what happens in practice. Now, of course, game day is different because you're not practicing against one another and you're not really tackling and all of that. But I've watched it. But to see it come together, of course, on Monday Night Football, and of course, in a situation against a very desperate Cincinnati Bengals team that you didn't think they were going to be able to pull it off on, at least I didn't, being very transparent, and it worked. And so that's why you practice. That's what happens. That's why you study. That's why you regroup and you recover. So I'm going to move on to two more offensive players, veteran Zach Ertz, and then rookie Luke McCaffrey. So check it out.
We're back, obviously. We got a lot of connections here. Still live here at times in the off season, so obviously a little hot. I talked to some buddies last week. They said it was about 90 degrees, so it's going to be perfect weather, and then we get this heat wave. So, but overall, it's good. I mean, we're just focused on winning a football game. Not focused on really the other external things.
Any tips that you can share or that you have shared with the defense on Kyler?
I mean, he's a special player. Everyone knows that. One of the best quarterbacks in the league, playing at a really high level right now. And so they've asked my opinion at times on things, and I've been very honest. I think he's one of the best players in the league. He's got all the tools, so we got to be on our game.
Are there spots or recommendations that you have for your teammates when they're here in the place that you've been?
For food?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, of course. We're about 20 minutes north of where most of my spots are, so I tell them if you're willing to drive or get an Uber that long. But Ocean 44, Steak 44, Buck and Ryder, all my spots out there.
Continue to ask week after week about Jaden and what you see after the performance. Watching some of the tape, what do you just kind of make of the poise and everything he was able to do?
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that's special about Jaden is none of us are really surprised by what he's been able to do. He was the same person when after he got drafted in that first OTA as he was Monday night with millions of people watching. I think that's the thing that's special about Jay. He doesn't get too high, he doesn't get too low, and he really is the same person all the time. He's going to bring that poise and composure to the offense. He doesn't let anything stress him out, and I feel like every time he steps on the field, he feels like he's the best player on the field. So he's got a lot of confidence in himself, and we got a lot of confidence in him.
So, first of all, if you're visiting, don't miss the very important point that Zach Ertz is giving you some suggestions on restaurants of what he likes. Okay, so if it's good for Zach Ertz, it's probably great for the rest of us. So we should all go and check those restaurants out. That is first and foremost. Going back to the point about Jaden, we've now consistently heard poise, and even DQ said we got to find a new word. We got to figure out new words. Everybody get out your dictionary and let's figure out a new word to describe Jaden, because we've been overusing poise, although it is the perfect word to describe him, right? But also, and he's the same person he was the first day of OTAs as he was Monday night. Doesn't get too high, doesn't get too low. Super important point. And the other one, which you all have now heard Adam Peters say when he first, talked about drafting Jaden. You've heard Kliff Kingsbury say, you've heard Zach Ertz say, now and others, is that he believes he is the best on the field, and that's how he plays. And even though he is as humble as he is, when he is out there on that grass, he is not there. I mean, he's there to play, but he believes he's the best. And he gonna lead a team that they believe that they are the best. Everybody's following suit, and you could see that. Anxious to see, or maybe I shouldn't say anxious, maybe I'll say excited to see if that vibe continues. With that being said, let's jump into the media scrum with one of Jaden Daniels' fellow rookies, wide receiver Luke McCaffrey, who had a big play here and there as well on Monday night.
Yeah, it was a cool play early. Jaden did a great job of just staying in the pocket and kind of moving, not having to scramble, kept his eyes downfield and threw it. I just saw the ball going there. I don't think he could have put it in a better place. And then that was fun to get rolling, to play on Monday night, to do that, and to just have a great team win. It was cool to see everybody kind of step up and do their own part at a different time, and it was a lot of fun.
What's it like to be part of these historic performances Jaden put together Monday night?
Oh, it's awesome. What's so cool is, we've been seeing him do that for months now, right? From OTAs to camp, and he keeps somehow getting better too, which is awesome. It's a lot of fun to watch, how good and how high quality he's been this entire time, and how even from week to week he's still improving and still getting better. Because I think some people forget how young he is for how well he's playing, and so we're having a blast with him. As a team and us as an entire organization's doing right now and continuing to do, so that hopefully, week in and week out, we can continue to get better, continue to grow, and peak at the right time.
That's the we. How about you as far as that adjustment period and what you're gleaning from Kliff and the guys?
Yeah, I think it's the same thing, right? I think the team is, kind of the representation of all the individuals. And so for me, as an individual, I think, just that continued growth of experience is awesome. It's so huge. And then to be able to lean on guys like Terry, guys like Bobby Ingram, even guys like Jaden, right, who've seen all these different looks and have ran all these plays with Kliff and all the way that we install it. It's cool to gain from their experience and continue to just try and fast-track growth as fast as possible. But I don't think you're ever going to be done growing and done competing. And so we're going to continue to challenge and be better than ourselves yesterday.
What was going on?
Oh, sorry.
The touchdown to Terry. There was some confusion before the snap.
Yeah, we were trying to get lined up. I think we had 10 guys on the field, so it kind of threw me out there. I kind of knew what the play was, which was nice. I knew we were throwing it deep to Terry, and so at that point, I honestly was just trying to get out of the way.
But it's funny because it could be a panic situation for a young quarterback.
Yeah, that was so impressive. I told him after the game, I think I appreciated that play so much just because I saw the poise that it took for him to handle the chaos, to stay under control, to take a big hit and still deliver that ball, and then Terry doing his job to get open, to catch the ball, and to execute that play at the highest level.
So your job was just to line up somewhere.
Yeah, pretty much.
Anything else?
Luke, speaking of physical plays, you mentioned Jaden taking that hit on that play, Jeremy McNichols getting out there, picking up that felicity on the ground, back-to-back plays, taking some hard hits. What does that do for you as a teammate to see your guys out there and I see yourself being willing to do that if necessary.
Yeah, it's awesome. You know, one of the things we have on our walls is run and hit, right? We want to be a physical unit. We want to be a tough unit. And so just to be able to go out there and hit people because we're allowed to, because football's fun, right? It is a lot of fun. And so it's awesome when you see guys do it. I think they did it at a high level last game, and hopefully we can continue to do it.
There's that word poised again. We're going to start charging. Every time somebody uses the word poised, we're going to say you got to pay a quarter. Maybe $1. Maybe make it $5 to up the ante since Jaden Daniels' jersey number is 5. But anyway, going on the deep end with that one, you all. Lots of nuggets there from Luke McCaffrey. One of the things they have on their walls is the run and hit. Remember, I shared with you all in a previous episode back in OTAs, there's all these different, statements and mottos all over the building. They have them on their, paraphernalia. It's everywhere. So this goes to show and back to the type of team they want to be and how they want to play and how they want to show up on game day. So next up, I'm going to share with you all Darrell Owens' keys to victory over the Arizona Cardinals. Then after that, I'm going to get into a couple of questions I had for Dan Quinn at the end of the week, and then we'll close out. I hope you all are still sticking with me. Here's the keys to victory over the Cardinals.
Hello, Bowie TV listeners. I'm your man, Darrell Owens, back once again to bring you a look inside of the Washington Commanders opponent for this week. This week's opponent is the Arizona Cardinals. Last week, the Commanders were able to get a win on Monday Night Football, and they look to go to Arizona this week and make things happen. Well, this week, the Arizona Cardinals team is trying to bounce back from a tough loss last week to the Detroit Lions, 20-13 at home. Now, in that game, you saw Kyler Murray go for 207 yards passing. He also led the team in rushing with 45 yards. And the receiver that led the way was Marvin Harrison, joining the 4th overall pick in the 2024 NFL Draft. These two are still building that connection, and they're coming off a great game 2 weeks ago against the Los Angeles Rams, where they just decimated a Los Angeles Rams team 41-10, and Harrison went for 130 yards in that game and 2 touchdowns. So this duo is starting to build things and get things on the right foot there in Arizona. Yes, they are 1-2, but in those first 3 games, they've been extremely competitive, or they've blown the team out, which they blew out the Rams. They were very competitive against the Buffalo Bills, who are currently 3-0 in Buffalo in a 34-28 battle. It was a really good game. And so this Cardinals team has something cooking, and they're still trying to figure things out. So you can't look past them just yet, Commanders fans. Now, they're 1-2, 3-way tie in the NFC West for last, but that doesn't give you too much here at the beginning of the season. But the 49ers and the Rams are also 1-2 on the season. So the Cardinals technically are in second place, but I digress. They're 7th right now in offense, so the offense is definitely doing their thing out there, and their defense is in the middle of the pack right now, being 17th. So they're still trying to get everything going, and they're going to try to use this week against the Commanders to get that thing propelled to another level. Now, what do the Commanders need to do to win this game? One, you got to protect Jaden Daniels, but he must continue to protect the football at all costs. He has done a phenomenal job this year. Still, knock on wood, no turnovers so far for Jaden Daniels, and he's done a phenomenal job of protecting the football. And maybe even better is that Kliff Kingsbury has done a masterful job of calling these games so far for Jaden Daniels as he's continued to build and grow throughout this season. And, there was a lot made about the college offense last week. Well, if it was a college offense, they put up 38 points against a really good Bengals team that's having some struggles right now. But Jaden Daniels must continue to protect the football and continue to grow each week. He's done a great job so far. Number 2, the Commanders secondary must be better. It has been a really rough go for the Commanders secondary so far this season. In game one, they had to deal with Baker Mayfield and his two amazing receivers, and Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, who both had great games and scored touchdowns against that Commanders defensive backfield. Then in week 2, the Commanders had to deal with Malik Neighbors, the 6th overall pick in this year's past draft, and he had a phenomenal day against the Commanders and almost helped by himself win that game against the Commanders back in week 2. And now in week 3, you saw them struggle with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. So this time around, they got to deal with Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr. The secondary has to be better. They have to find a way to clamp down things on Marvin Harrison Jr. Number 3, keep Kyler Murray in the pocket as much as possible. Look, that's going to be a very hard task. This man runs around the field like a track star. He's all over the place. He's fast as lightning, and he does a lot of his damage on the outside of that pocket. So if you're the Commanders, you want to keep him in the pocket and give as much pressure as possible heading into this game. They want to do whatever they can to stop Kyler Murray. Not going to be an easy task. So there it is. That's what I got for you this week, and I think those are the keys to victory for the Commanders. You just got to watch out for this Cardinals team. They're sneaky good. The record is not exactly on how good I think they are and could be, so you got to watch out for that. I'm going to go ahead and send you back to Candi, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the show. I'm Darrell Lawrence. I'll see you next week.
All right. So listen, I said that the Cardinals were 2-1. They're 1-2. So Darrell already got me checked out on that. Perfect. But to Darrell's point, they're sneaky good. The Cardinals, the record may not reflect what the team is actually doing. And hey, everybody knows it's any given game day, right? Any given game day, the better you got to figure out who the better team is that day. Of course, the continuing of protecting the football, the continuing to mention that Kyler can throw and he's so super fast, and just the pressure that needs to get to Kyler. This is the week. If ever there was a week that needed to start to show, improve, it's this defensive line. Not real much ruckus and noise from this position group. Right? We had some things and some tough messages to talk about with the offensive line, and then what do you know? They showed up. I think the defensive line needs to follow suit, because this is certainly a game where getting that pressure also helps the secondary. We've often heard linebackers' names, Frankie Louvu. We've also heard Bobby Wagner's name as well. But this is the week, and I'm going to continue to say it, where the defensive line has to make their presence known and continue to be known throughout the rest of the season. It is a very important point to say that Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne need to reclaim their roles as leaders on this team and really show, improve, and make that impact that we've all seen them make in the past. This would be the week to do that. With that being said, I asked DQ, Dan Quinn, what he is looking to see out of his defensive line this week.
And what are you looking to see from the defensive line this week? The defensive line?
Sure.
Yep.
Number one, I think obviously we all have a lot of respect for James Conner, and he's a factor, and they've got a good run game and the play passes that go off it. So, being stout and being physical up front, that's going to be a real key. And then finding ways to, on third down, to make our presence felt, to when we can get, the individual rushes to go. Playing a mobile quarterback like Kyler presents its own challenges. So having the discipline to do that from them will be front and center for us.
We'll see what happens. Make those notes. Make the note. See if you see it. See if it happens. It is important to refer back to these notes and refer back to these episodes to say, you know what? They did improve in that area. They are getting better, because see, as those of you who have watched my episodes in the past, and if you're new here, one thing you'll know about me is that I collect receipts. So that means I want to know that what you told me is actually what the team is doing. And we've seen that improvement on offense. Let's hope that it continues. It's time for the defensive line to reclaim their role as being ferocious, because they can be and should be. Now, we always know that the goal is to win the football game, but I wanted to know from Dan Quinn, if you don't win, what is going to stand out to you as, hey, this was still a really good game for this team? Check out his response.
Hey, Coach, I know that ultimately you always want to win a football game, but in the event that you don't win, do you still say in week 4, if I see these 3 things, that was still a really good game for this team?
Well, I think number one, you're going to hear me say it a lot, it's the turnover margin. And we're really committed to taking care of the ball, to making sure we get our shots to go knock it out. So that part, you'll always see me, up on the top of the pile forever. The explosive play margins, can we find some ways to get some explosive runs, passes, offensively, defensively, the same thing. Can we limit the big plays? So the drives have got to go for the long ones. They've got to get into that space. And after that, then I have some other ones where we are on the penalty side and starting field position. So those are the markers that I'm generally looking for to see how we're performing. It's, to me, always some things that don't show up on the stat sheet. That's our speed, the energy, the toughness, the physicality that we're playing with. That has to show up every time we go, whether we're in Arizona or playing back home or nights on Monday nights and Thursday nights and whenever it is. That physicality and speed has always got to be front and center for us.
So did you all make those notes? Okay, I asked the question because I made my notes, because I'm going to ask. Once I look at the game and watch the all 22, I'm going to ask if I don't see it, right? But you want to see it. So he just said it, exactly what he's looking at in terms of the team's performance and what he's specifically looking at, those things that show up on the stat sheet and those things that don't. Commanders fans, I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Washington Commanders Update, as Candi CWall Waller from Bowie TV are giving you exclusive insights from Arizona. This is NFL Week 4. I know that you all will be tuned in to the game. Hopefully, it's another victory, right? Even if not, you all make sure you join me Monday evening. Stay tuned for the time, but make sure those notifications come on. Typically, it's around 7:30 Eastern time, where I go live and give all of the updates and information and my thoughts from week 4. So look, you all, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I'll be talking to you all again soon.